Hello, and welcome to this week's focus, mindfulness. So, being mindful means being non-judgmental towards yourself. When you are experiencing negative thoughts or emotions, it's important to acknowledge, receive, and accept them as they are. When we over-identify ourselves with these emotions, it can cause us to react negatively to our environment. And I know mindfulness is maybe a topic that some of us have heard about, others maybe not so much, and that's okay. But we're going to go throughout this PowerPoint, throughout this presentation, and learn a little bit more about what does being mindful look like. So on this slide, I have a 1 minute long meditation. It's guided. For this meditation, I want you to focus on embracing any negative thoughts or emotions that might come up. Determine why you feel that way, and then allow yourself to accept them so that you can release them and move forward. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and sit back and get comfortable and follow along to this meditation on the screen.
So sitting comfortably, just taking a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you breathe in, noticing how the body expands. As you breathe out, just watching the body soften as you gently close the eyes. And rather than the mind leading the breath, allow the breath to lead the mind. Notice the sensation of the breath. Notice it where you feel it in the body. If you need to, you can just gently place your hand on the stomach. And just following that rising and falling sensation. Nothing else to do. Allowing thoughts to come and go. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
Okay, so that was one of many meditations that are out there. There's guided, there's non-guided, there's walking, there's eating meditations, there's a whole wide variety of it. And so whatever you defined as meditation with your behavior earlier in the study, go ahead and practice that this week. And this is Headspace that I just showed you, and this can be found on YouTube or Spotify or other areas too as well online. But this is just one of many meditations that you can take part in. So I want you to go ahead and really explore this week and take the time to find what fits best for you. Because maybe this wasn't for you, and that's okay, and maybe it was, and that is also great. But yeah, really take the time this week and find something that best suits your needs, because that's all what mindfulness and meditation is about. What works for you? Okay, so moving on. We talked about mindfulness as it pertains to your emotions and thoughts, and applying that awareness to and being present with your emotions and thoughts, and then also accepting them for what they are. However, we're going to go ahead and take this concept a step further by applying that awareness to all 5 of your senses. And this is known as mindfulness in action. So, how exactly do we do that? And how can this transfer into our normal everyday activities? Well, I want you to think about this scenario. So, when you go for a run, or you take part in some sort of high-intensity activity. Maybe it's football, basketball, baseball, anything that involves getting your heart beat up. Maybe that's even yoga, hot yoga. I know I like to do that. But when you begin to walk or cool down afterwards, you feel and can almost hear how hard your heart is beating. And at the same time, you might also feel a little more hot than you were when you were active. When you were running, you had that wind that was cooling you down, and now you stopped and there's no breeze. When you notice these things, Without even realizing it, you are being mindful. At that present moment, you are paying attention to and attentive to the fact that your heart is racing from that activity, and you feel hot from the lack of wind as you feel yourself slowly cooling down. Now, this right here is mindfulness in action. You don't always have to be intentionally meditating. It can happen naturally, but like anything, it takes practice. So, practicing engaging your senses. So let's put mindfulness into action, as we just talked about, as we go through maybe one of your daily activities. So as we sit here now, let's practice this together. So maybe you have a little bit better idea of what this looks like. So you can go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and maybe quiet your mind. Okay, so now that your mind is maybe a little more calm, a little more quiet, we're taking a brain break. I want you to try and notice 5 things that you may not have noticed before. So an example being, what do you hear? Do you hear a busy street, hustling and bustling? Maybe you hear some birds. Is a dog barking? What do you hear? Okay, so what's the temperature in the room? How is it? Is it a little stuffy? Is it hot? Is it warm? Or maybe it's cool. Maybe there's a fan blowing on you with some cool air. Take a minute and think, what is the temperature in the room? Now, I want you to open your eyes and just kind of glance around. Look at the ceiling. Maybe you have a window you can look out. What do you see? What's in there? I know right now I can see books. There's a shelf. There's a few dry erase markers, things like that. What do you see? And then also, you can do this with taste. I know maybe I can only taste like 1 or 2 things. Maybe a muffin that I just ate or some water I just drank. And also, what can you feel? I'm feeling my smooth pants, this cold table. What about you? What can you maybe taste or feel? Okay, so you can intentionally bring yourself into the present moment whenever you want to by simply just orienting your attention to these things. So this doesn't have to be some grand plan of how you're going to meditate or be mindful today. This can just be simple, and maybe you're sitting in an Uber on the way home, or riding your bike, or on the bus, or walking to class, or into work, whatever it might be. You can practice this, and it's a very simple, easy tool. So, lastly, at the end of the week, you will be asked to write just a brief reflection on mindfulness and meditation, and you'll be asked to talk about that behavior that you identified earlier in the study, as well as measuring it each day in minutes. So how long did you meditate for? How long did you practice that for today? Some days it might be 1 minute, other days maybe you did 60 minutes. You really needed it that day. I want you to go ahead and collect that information. And then I want you to just reflect on how putting mindfulness into action, how practicing meditation, how learning about this has helped you better connect with yourself, your surroundings, and the environment. Again, this is a really big step for some people, and I really appreciate you taking the time to pay attention to this presentation and join me today. I really look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.